Yes, I have been kind of angry because I've seen something that everybody's seen that because it happens internationally, it's openly, especially in the social media age. Everybody can see it, can hear it. Basically, there's a two sides, just like a miles away, like um, uh, day and night, black and white. On the one side, we have Israeli cabinet members showing the pictures or videos, and they push people head down, and then tie them up, and then later when they were released from Israel, they found out that they were beaten, and some said that they were raped. All kinds of things. These are the peaceful people. They're not sending weapons to Gaza. They're just sending human aid, and for nonprofit organizations, for the volunteers. Okay, and they were treated like that. You can only imagine what would happen to the Palestinians, under the ruling, under the governance of Israel. Okay, so that made me really, really angry. I mean, we all have reason to be angry with this, uncivilized way of dealing with the international volunteers. They are the third parties. They're not the part of the Hamas and the Israel conflict. The most importantly, they're not sending weapons to them. Unlike the U.S., the government is sending weapons to Israel, right? They're not doing that. They're just humanitarian aid. So that's one side. Another side, we hear some people, including Erica Kirk, the late wife of Kirk. She was saying that anybody in southern Israel, it's you know will hurt her more than the death of her late husband. Okay. Then there's another U.S. ambassador to the Israel. I forgot his name. It doesn't matter. I mean, he was basically saying that anybody insulting Israel is like insulting his own wife. You know, I was just saying that why not go further? Why don't you claim that, like Erica is like, the logic is clear. You know, the only logical explanation that hurting Israel, in southern Israel, is more significant than the death of her husband, her late husband, is that she is basically treating Israel as the God. They give Israel the same treatment as a God. So the biggest question we have is that can we equalize modern Israel that established in 1948? It's a democracy. I call it, I agree with Tucker Carlson. He basically openly said in the Israeli media that your democracy is incomplete. Why? Because so many people under your ruling, there's no voting right. So I would say, I would put it in a quote unquote democracy. It's not really democracy unless so if you insist that Israel is a democracy because it does have a functioning parliament, they have the government has to be held accountable. I agree with you, but I would say that democracy is kind of a before the civil rights movement in the U.S. before Martin Luther King. That level of democracy. It's better than the neighboring countries, to be honest. All the Gulf Bay countries, but it's not even close to the U.S. level of democracy, not even close to the European level of democracy, or including Australia and New Zealand, and Canada. You know, so they're just in the lower level of democracy, right? So the problem is that the question is that can we equalize that democracy in the 21st, established in the 20th century, right, to the theocracy. Theocracy means that old days, maybe 1,000 years before the Christ. You know, so the answer is obviously no. You can list many reasons, but the key reason is that the theocracy of Israel was under direct guidance. Of course, the direct guidance of God. God Himself is doing that. He's doing a lot of governance jobs. Of course, you can say that the God sent the prophet. Like Moses, like Abraham. To speak for His will. But still, we don't today. Israel. Can you say that Israel today is governed by prophet or governed by God? Not even close, right? I'm sure that many people in the world will call Netanyahu as a SOP, right? He's one of the worst human beings. Some people would claim, you know. Of course, that's subject to debate, but it's just ridiculous. It's just absurd to compare the governance system of modern Israel to the remote ancient Israel. You know, this one of the reasons, the key reason is that everybody knows that Israel is a chosen people. The Jewish people are the chosen people, right? And they give them basically God gave the Abraham three things. Number one, I give you land. Number two, I give you descendant. Number three, I give you blessing, right? So, so many people got this confused. They believe that Israel, because the Israelis are the chosen people by the God. They are privileged. They are under. They are the favorite son of their God. We all, every human is the son of God, right? So to that extent, they are favorite son of God. Israel, all the people in Israel. But in fact, if you think of it carefully, you know, in human way, we interpret it as the chosen people as as a privilege, uh, um special protection. You know, but in if you read the Bible carefully, and let me emphasize that a lot of people when they call themselves a Christian, they don't really understand the Bible. They don't even spend a lot of time, enough time to read the Bible. Now today with the AI, it's actually much easier for you to understand the Bible because you may have questions. Ask the AI. AI give you the references. So I'm gonna give you the reference to Amos. Amos is it's basically it's a shepherd. He's from Judea. In the ancient time, BC, before Christ, there was like Israel's basically two kingdoms. One is the Israel is in the north, and then Judea is in the south. Judea is much smaller, more like farming, and not as rich, but Israel in the north. It's much richer. Just think about it. The good way to remember it is that like compare U.S. and then Mexico, right? So one is poorer, and that is richer. The northern kingdom of Israel was much richer, but Amos is a basically is a he's not a professional prophet, but God sent him. God chosen him to speak to do a preach in the he's from Judea in the south, much smaller, but God sent him to the north and to do the preach. And then Amos is the book of Amos is like Amos 1 and Amos 2. Let me stop here and then we'll talk about this next time.